The committee, State Institution Property Committee, is now in session. We'll start by the first item of business is to adopt the rules for 23 and 24. If you can look over them right quick, a quorum of the committee will be 4 members. We have that right now. So what we would like to do is go ahead and adopt the rules if you're so inclined to do so, and I insist you do so.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The first item, we have Representative Chairman Gerald Green here with us today. We have 2 conveyances. We're going to start off with House Resolution 157, and Commissioner, if you just come up and take a seat at the table here, we'll get on the way. And be very aware of your time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee. Indeed, this is our annual trip
Right.
to the Senate to ask for the conveyances, and that is House Resolution 157.
Okay.
And also the easements, which is House Resolution 158. You have before you on the conveyances all of those that the House passed out, and I understand there's one that you wish to bring to the committee, and I'll let you talk about that, or Frank will talk about that one. You want to
Yes,
want to take the conveyances first here?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay. Do we have the? I
That's
think
one. There we go.
is one of those that Senator Blake
You
wants to.
157, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. I was going to just make an amendment to one.
Okay.
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 You're going to take 157 first, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right.
And you'll notice that on the list there, everything from Appling County all the way down to Walton County that we passed out. And these are the conveyances that we accepted through our state's properties commission that we passed out of the House there. And if there's any questions on those, we'll take them.
Any questions for Chairman Green? At this time, recognize Chairman Tillery for, I believe he has an amendment.
I do. I have a question first, though, Chairman Green and Frank, Deputy Commissioner, thank you for being here. My question is, I may not be on, Mr. Chairman.
A big part, 7. There you go.
Thank y'all for being here. My question is this: when we read our synopsis, it talks about that the property may be conveyed for fair market value or $10 so long as it's used for a public purpose. Then when we get in the bill, it doesn't really say that limitation of the public purpose isn't there. Where does that come in? Can y'all tell me where that limitation comes in?
Can you reference where you're talking? It should be in there. So what should be in the bill is the authorization to convey by really 3 different methods.
Okay.
Fair market value by competitive bid to some private entity. The second would be fair market value to a public entity, or for $10 and the requirement for public purpose. And the reason we ask for the authorization for those 3 is if a public entity, a city or county, comes to us and says, we have a need, we're going to give them first right of refusal. So we'll say, okay, what is your need? If that need is a public purpose, a sheriff's office, a fire station, something like that, then we would convey to them for $10. If their need is a private need, then we would say, well, we need fair market value because the state needs consideration. And then, of course, if no local need, then we would put it out for a competitive bid.
So that, I guess, raises my question now as I go to section 49. This looks like it's the Morgan County properties. And
Correct.
what it appears is that the Department of Economic Development needs some type of improvement or on land that's adjacent to them, so they're transferring land over to DOT.
So in Morgan County, this would be the Senate subcommittee ad, and I can just kind of go into detail about that one if you want.
Sure.
Well, so are you talking about the one that's 93 acres?
I see the 93 acres. Is
Okay.
that the Senate committee ad?
No, sir. That
Okay.
is the.
I was talking about section 49. I apologize.
Gotcha. All right. So that is the Senate, potential Senate committee substitute addition.
Okay.
So going into a little more detail about that one. In 1873, the General Assembly created the Commissioners of Commons of the City of Columbus. Through that creation, the state conveyed property, which is in your resolution there, conveyed to the Commissioners of the Commons. In 1928, the Commissioners of the Commons conveyed that property to the City of Columbus with use restrictions. And those use restrictions were a public park, or that it be devoted to such amusement and pleasure as the corporate authority of the City of Columbus may designate. And so the City of Columbus now wants clear title to that property. So yes, sir, we do believe it to be some economic development interest, but the state does not believe that it has a strong claim to those restrictions, because those were not conveyed to the Commissioners of the Commons. The Commissioners of the Commons are the ones that put those restrictions on there, and I do not believe that entity exists anymore. So therefore, the need to come back to the state and remove those restrictions.
I don't think that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
Well,
one.
remember that. Remember that.
I had
for the
nothing.
day.
That's
no
not
issue with
Columbus.
that.
That's,
The 49 on our sheet is DOT
Yeah.
getting property, but having to pay $547,000 to.
Sorry.
We thought ECD. It actually says ECD.
Yes. Sorry, I was in the wrong section.
Oh,
Forgive me,
no,
Mr.
no
Chairman.
problem. So, what my amendment would be is, since it's obviously this Department of Transportation addition would benefit the ECD property.
Yes, sir.
To change that $547,000 to $10.
Yes, sir.
Did that cause any heartburn with the chair, or, with the sponsor?
It did not, and it does not. In fact, we had some of our members to bring it up after the meeting, and I'm glad that we are revisiting this, because they were concerned about it too.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd make that amendment that on line 410, of the
Which can-
Senate substitute LC 540232S, the dollar denomination of $547,300 be changed to $10.
do I hear a second on that? Moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Okay, the amendment is, you will give us, okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I will like to discuss the Muskogee County, if you bring that up. And as you know, I brought that to you, the mayor and the council. You should have received the ordinances that the resolutions that they adopted, and
Yes.
changed the amount to make sure we avoided the $10 thing.
Correct.
And we could go ahead with the $650, which was more palatable to your understanding of the situation.
Correct. Yes, sir. And so, again, forgive me for being in the wrong section, but the Muskogee County addition would be what is being, removing the restrictions that the state may have an interest in the property. And I say may have because, again, this is from 1873. So to trace that title all the way back and ensure that those restrictions are still there is a difficult thing to do. So what we are recommending is the removal of those restrictions for the consideration of $650. The reason the $650 is if there is interest, the state needs some consideration. If there is no interest, then we could have $10. But in abundance of caution, the $650 allows the state to get some consideration for removing the use restrictions.
Yes, all right. And I think that will meet the request that the city, mayor and city council, they have there. And I think it meets, the $650 should suffice. And
Yes, sir.
can I have, I don't know whether I can make the motion. Can I have a motion to?
So moved. Well, it's on we're now just moving to approve the whole bill. I move that we approve LC 540232S as amended by the committee.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. So now number 158, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
You're dealing with LC 540231S, right? That's the sub.
Yes, sir.
I mean, yes, the sub.
Yes, that's the That's correct, Mr. Chairman. This is our easements, our annual easements that we're bringing to you, starting with one in my county, my district there, Calhoun County, and we go all the way through in Washington County, and y'all are adding 4, is that right? 4 additions to that, to House Resolution 158. That's Bacon County, Chatham County, Gwinnett County, and Wheeler County.
Okay. Any questions or comments from members of the committee? Otherwise, what's your pleasure? Moved, do I have a second?
Yes, sir.
Moved and properly seconded, all in favor say aye. Pose like sign. Any more business?
Mr. Chairman, you're going to carry the
Yes,
bills,
sir. I can do that this time.
and you're going to help me get them out of rules.
Who's on rules in here, so I think.
You are. You are.
I think we can handle that.
Okay.
I'm not on rules.
The appropriations will hold that money if they don't let me have it, so.
No, sir.
Well, it's always a pleasure to
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
work with y'all, and this is for the good of the state and the individuals involved here, and I know they appreciate the work there.
Thank you.
And I'm sure
Mr.
DOT
Commissioner, let me
appreciates
thank you
it.
too, and Chairman, I really appreciate you working with us, trying to solve that problem. And that area is still primarily that which recreational and skateboarding and, it's still in that area. So this was just a little narrow bridge they're trying to go into. Any more business coming before the meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you very much.
Senator Davenport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I ask you every time about this, but those buildings or whatever that's in our districts, like for Clayton County, we can't get a straight answer from the commissioners. Can we get a list of those that we could possibly use or whatever?
So
Not for public use.
sure, I can get you a list of buildings, state-owned buildings in Clayton County. That's no problem. The issue would be if it's going to be, you want it to be sold or leased for
Yes,
some private entity.
yes.
What we would have to be sure is that we get fair market value for that lease. So we can't, even if it's a private nonprofit, it's still a private entity. And so even though it's a wonderful cause, the state can't lease to a private entity for $10.
Okay.
And Commissioner, before you go, can you give us an idea of how many properties or what kind of value on the, throughout the year that we handle each year through your department and things like that? I mean, I think it's a pretty good number. I just want to give the committee members a chance of what a great job you do and how great it is and
Sure.
money-wise and how vast it is. That's what I'm getting at more than anything else.
Well, I'll say it's not
In a
something that.
nutshell, I don't wanna
Yeah, no.
keep 'em too long.
I'll just say it's not, all me, this committee's leadership and Chairman Green's leadership is what allows the state to have wonderful real property assets. We have about 12,000 state-owned buildings all over the state, about 1 million acres of state-owned land, and about 2,000 leases. And that is what we oversee as a State Properties Commission throughout the state. As far as buildings goes, that's about $34 billion of insured assets. That's not even counting contents. That's just buildings. Now, that includes the Board of Regents, but $34 billion of real property assets. That's a lot.
And thank you very much, and once again, appreciate your job you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you, Mr.
there's no
Chairman.
other business, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We good.
Thank you, Chairman Green.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you.